It's second time around for Howard Kendall at Goodison Park. Having established an old boys network at Manchester City, he upped and left just when the going was getting good.
That's a lovely through ball by White, and Heath on the end of it, and it's Adrian Heath, and he scored. Heath against his former club, 1-0 Manchester City.
It's Everton against Manchester City this afternoon. Some will see it as a grudge match. Not so Peter Reid. Kendall's "home is where the heart is" explanation that so infuriated City fans gave Reid his main chance. The combative yet injury-prone midfielder, Kendall turned into the driving force behind Cup, League and European successes between 1984 and 87.
Stevens, got in, coming in bench line 4 by Peter Reid.
Reid returns to Goodison Park today as the manager of Manchester City. The biggest influence on his career is the manager of Everton. But that's only part of the recent story that links these two famous clubs in not altogether amicable circumstances.
At least the main men seem happy enough. Good afternoon to you, good afternoon to Joe Royle. Close ties with both clubs, of course, Joe. We're very much in a neutral corner today, and there aren't going to be too many neutrals at Goodison today.
No, I'm one of the few that seems to enjoy the game. Now, all the City fans that he's more than just a big lad who can head the ball.
Now, putting your international hat on, of course, you are the main coach of the England under-21s, so you'll be keen to see John Everall, the young Everton player today, the under-21 captain.
Then again, another player who's shown the benefits of regular soccer now. And I would think a future Everton captain. I'm sure that Howard sussed that out by now.
Thanks, Joe. Let's join our commentators, Ian St John and Alan Perry.
Thanks, Elton. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's take a check on the teams then, beginning with Everton. In goal, Neville Southall. 2, Neil MacDonald. 3, Andy Hinchcliffe, the former Manchester City player. 4, Kevin Ratcliffe. 5 is Dave Watson. 6, John Everall. 7, Pat Nevitt. 8, Stuart McCall. 9, Graham Sharp. 10 is Kevin Sheedy, and at 11, Peter Beagrie. And this is how they line up. Certainly an adventurous formation. You can expect to see the likes of Nevin, Sheedy and Beagrie getting forward to join Sharp as often as possible. Now Manchester City. In goal, Tony Coton. 2, Ian Brightwell. 3, Neil Poynton. 4, player-manager Peter Reid. 5, Colin Hendry. 6, Steve Redmond. 7, David White. 8, Adrian Heath. 9, Niall Quinn. At 10, it's Gary Megson. And 11, Mark Ward. No fewer than 5 former Everton players in this lineup, and City relieved that strikers Heath and Quinn are able to renew their partnership again following injury. Substitutes today, Martin Keown and Tony Cottee for Everton, Alan Harper and Clive Allen for Manchester City. Referee is Roger Milford from Bristol, and incidentally today's match is going live to British troops in the Gulf. We hope you all enjoy the game, and we certainly hope to see you all safely home again very soon. Peter Reid back on his old stamping ground, 34 now, took charge of Manchester City 10 games ago and has won half of them. One of Howard Kendall's first signings when he...
Well, I'm sure there'll be a bit of needle. I just hope, Alan, that we don't get a game where both sides, knowing so much about each other, might cancel each other out. I would rather hope that we might get a very open game where, again, simply because the lads know each other, they're playing against their old mates, and they'll all get stuck in and we can see a nice open game. I do hope it's not as negative as the last days.
Adrian Heath and his teammates have drawn no fewer than 7 of their 10 games away from Main Road. Everton in a run of improved form with 4 successive wins and 6 victories from their last 8 games under Howard Kendall, but still only 14th in the table, 5 points behind Manchester City, who get the game underway in their change strip of all maroon and who will be attacking from left to right in the first half. Beagrie for Everton. Everall chasing, and the City captain, Steve Redmond, helping it back. Although it looks very frosty at that end of Goodison Park, they've had the undersoil heating on here since yesterday, and the pitch, in fact, is very soft. That's just the surface covering the frost. Early free kick to Manchester City. Neil Poynton to take it. Looking for White on the far side of the penalty area, finding Quinn, in fact, and it goes back to the former Arsenal man.
An early indication, Alan, that if City get the ball into the box now, Quinn, who's having a tremendous time this season, will get his head to it because he has the height advantage over the Everton centre-backs.
Hinchcliffe, the former City player, with the throw for Everton. Brightwell heading it back to player-manager Reid. Back in again, it comes from Brightwell. Quinn's header on, but in fact he was pushing Kevin Ratcliffe, the Everton skipper, who has already taken the free kick. Very strong sunshine here at Goodison, and that may affect our camera lens a little bit. We hope it doesn't spoil your enjoyment, and I'm sure the sun will be dipping down behind the stand very soon. Watson's header. Sheedy turning it back, but in fact it's Manchester City who retain possession, and a good-looking ball in towards Quinn, cut out well by Southall. Sheedy turned on to Sharp, and again the interception by Redmond. Good deep kick by Coton. Watson met it, breaks to Ward. Brightwell forward, but given away to Ebrel. Now Beagrie for Everton. Hinchcliffe playing it back to Ratcliffe, who slipped. Henry's clearance only reaching McCall, and the Scottish international ran into trouble. Poynton's interception, but Quinn is offside. One interesting little tactical switch here has been made by Manchester City. Quinn, of course, the target for the crosses from either wing, and Mark Ward has switched wings early on here, Ian, with David White. They normally play with White on the right and Ward on the left. They've gone the other way round. Yeah,
I noticed that, Alan. I just wonder the reason why. It may show itself shortly.
Here's Ebrel for Everton. Challenged by Reid. McCall turning it on to Nevin and gets the return ball. And once again Redmond with the interception. Poynton. White. Ebrel for Everton. That's a lovely ball. But there was a suspicion of offside, not given though, as Nevin goes on. Well saved, and it comes to Beagrie. Eat your heart out, Hugo Sanchez. Peter Beagrie scores his first ever goal for Everton and gives us a celebration to remember. But Manchester City will complain here that Beagrie and arguably Nevin as well were in an offside position when the ball was played. Nevin going on and producing that excellent save from Coton, and Beagrie's shot in off the foot of the post to give Everton the lead.
Well, from up here, it certainly looked offside, I have to say, Pat Nevin in that wide position. And the goalkeeper, Coton, very unfortunate there because he made the great block and then it fell kindly for Beagrie and it's in off the post. But at least it's given us a goal, it's lifted the game, hopefully, and we can only go on from there, surely.
Manchester City have won a free kick. Poynton's cross. It breaks to Ward. Well cleared by Watson. Nevin, we're in an offside position. Well, I don't know it does. It certainly looked offside to me, Ian.
Well, we didn't actually see the player receiving a ball when it was actually passed, so you couldn't really define that. But certainly, he looked, I mean, you would think he was in an offside position, yeah.
So Everton in the lead. Peter Beagrie in possession again.
Correct.
And he finds Sharp, who finds Sheedy, and it back to Sharp, and no offside again. Coton with a good save. The Manchester City players turn angrily towards the linesman on the far side. They felt they might have had the benefit of an offside decision again then. And Sharp close to punishing them for a second time. But Coton with a good save. Beagrie doing well to find Sharp. And McCall goes in hard again on Ward. This is Beagrie. Cut out by Henry, back in from Beagrie. Sheedy with a spectacular goal! What a beauty! magnificent goal by Kevin Sheedy. That's as good as you'll see all season, I would think. An acrobatic effort.
Well, there won't be many better goals this weekend than that one. That was a classic goal. As we know, he's got this sweet left foot of his, but what a lovely volley. And really the goalkeeper, well as he's playing today, couldn't get anywhere near that one.
Brilliant goal, and Beagrie involved in the build-up.
He did well, Beagrie, actually. You know, it was a good deep header into the box. And there, what a finish.
Well, textbook goalkeeping really, and he's had the look of the draw because the ball's gone. I think he'd be too pleased with this goal himself.
Really?
When it's gone over him. He's 6'3", and I think you'll find that the ball ends up in the bottom of the net.
Yeah, I wonder if people...
I thought it was a lovely build-up. Strachan, Mel Sterling, the little flick on, and great skill by Big Lee Chapman. Look at that, dragged it back and tucked it away with his left foot. I thought that was the best goal of the week.
Thanks, Ian. And so did Neil Windsor of St Mary's Crescent. And here's one of the 22 you'll be able to see and vote for later on. Lars Elstrup with 1 of 7 at Kenilworth Road. Some really great goals later on. You'll enjoy them. And you'll enjoy the second half here at Goodison after the break.
Tim Sharp gets the ball. It's all useful for Everton in using up time. And they've surely done enough now to clinch 3 points here and continue their run of good results of late. Hinchcliffe. Ball back intended for Nevin. And in the end, a goal kick is the outcome.
I think there's still some way from being the finished article, Everton, under Howard Kendall's new reign. They're creating enough chances.
But they created enough to win the points today as Roger Milford blows the final whistle. Confirmation that Everton have beaten Manchester City by 2-0. Peter Beagrie's first ever goal as an Everton player in the 14th minute, and then a spectacular Kevin Sheedy volley into the corner of the net, the second goal coming just 10 minutes later. Everton won only one of their first 11 league games this season, and they've still only got 7 wins out of 22 in the first.
But Southampton are enjoying one of their good spells. Their good players like Rod Wallace are right on song. After that encouraging start for the Saints, Luton played their part in the most entertaining game of the season at Kenilworth Road so far. And here's one of their goals of the season by Lars Elstrup, 14 for him. Luton, who'd won only one of their previous 7, went in front 2 minutes later with 20-year-old Julian James getting his second for the club, sliding in on the synthetic, risking artificial grass burns to make it 2-1. But then to complete a hectic 4-minute spell, Southampton drew level. Sherednik putting the ball in, the Luton defence practising glasnost, and that was easy for Matt Le Tissier. Into the second half, Southampton in front again. Lovely tight control here by Le Tissier for his 16th of the season and 10 in the last 10 games. Outstanding goal coming up, Southampton really buzzing. Alan Shearer, a fine exponent of touch play and a great foil for Le Tissier, and Wallace in this case, and that was Rod's 12th of the season, well over half an hour left. Now, despite conceding a late penalty, Southampton went on to win their 4th game out of 5 and set up an enticing Rumbelows Cup tie against Manchester United on Wednesday. He takes penalties, but he takes them well. 4-3, that's how it finished. £100,000 signing from Millwall, but it was one of the old school who kept them involved in the first half. Grobbelaar saving brilliantly from Platt. But Liverpool can tell stories about the ones that got away as well. McMahon going close against the club that sold him to Anfield. But Liverpool have now failed to win 5 of their last 8 in the league. If nothing else, it offers a bit of encouragement to Arsenal and 1 or 2 others in with a bit of a chance. Great save that by Spink, wasn't it? He's having a good season. No goals either at White Hart Lane, but Spurs, who'd lost their previous 3 in the league, deserve to end Arsenal's unbeaten run. Gascoigne going close in his last game before a 2-match suspension. The Arsenal saviour was David Seaman. Top-class goalkeeping throughout. For a goalless draw, it was a thoroughly entertaining game, but the bulk and the best of the chances fell to Spurs. Lineker crossing to Paul Allen. Had it been the other way around, who knows? If it's any consolation, Spurs won't come up against a keeper of Siemens class every week. Having said that, next week it's Peter Shilton on the match. So the top three, only Crystal Palace gained maximum points. The only goal of the game came with 15 minutes to go. One of their unsung heroes, Eddie McGoldrick, penetrating and persevering to set up Mark Bright for his 12th of the season. 4 points off the top, one of those in with a bit of a chance. Super goal, this one from Norwich. Great touch from Robert Fleck to get Jeremy Goss away. Support arriving at the double, and a perfect strike by Tim Sherwood. Even Lukic at full stretch couldn't keep it out. Confidence seems to come and go at Carrow Road, rather like a change in the weather. It's high pressure stuff at the moment. Dale Gordon with Robert Fleck to thank. United are red hot at the moment, and Mark Hughes is in a class of his own. But the man of the match was Lee Sharp. That's why United 2 up after quarter of an hour. Brian McClare with his 13th of the season, 5 in 5. Before half-time, Hughes getting his second of the match, 12th of the season. One defeat in 18, another side with a bit of a chance. Troubled times at Stamford Bridge, but at least Chelsea ended a losing sequence of 4 games on the trot. A goal in each half by Gordon Durie against a QPR side that's lost 12 of the last 15 games. Durie's 10th of the season was a brilliant header, leaving Rangers one off the bottom and with the worst defensive record in the division. 5-4 the last time they met. Forest the losers in the Rumbelows Cup, despite a Nigel Clough hat-trick, you might remember. Well, Steve Ogrizovic bringing Clough down there after an extraordinary back pass by Cyril Regis. Now, Clough missed the penalty, but it had to be taken again because of encroachment. So up stepped Stuart Pearce for his first penalty attempt since the World Cup semi-final. Similar outcome, but not the time and place for tears. It's certainly not in Pearce's nature when there's still work to be done. Nigel Clough almost got into a goal-scoring position for Forest first, but it would have been akin to stepping in front of an Intercity Express going at full pelt. Pearce 1-0, and no one was about to argue. But Clough, courtesy of Pearce, eventually got into the goal-scoring act. The ball sitting up nicely, the execution perfect. Coventry had gone 5 without defeat, and they've certainly tightened up at the back, but they were missing key players through injury, and it was over as a contest by the time Roy Keane added to his growing reputation with a classy goal to make it 3-0. Only Roy Wegley scored more First Division goals so far this season than John Fashanu. Fashanu's was the outstanding contribution to the game, opening the way for Terry Gibson to get the first. Fash's 12th in the league was debated by Peter Shilton, who thought he'd been impeded. Whichever way you look at it, hardly a goal of the day contender. Now we're off to Derby for the match next Sunday. It'll be worth it just to watch Dean Saunders. He's not just a goal scorer, he's unselfish, brave, resourceful, cheeky. All that enabled Derby to get back into the game through Mick Harford. But Fashanu had the final say. Through the middle, no attempt to play the ball. Mark Wright's challenge certainly open to interpretation. Fashanu's 13th of the season and his only penalty.
22 goals there. Choose the best. Ring 0898 4045 quarter-finals. 10:40 ITV, and then next Sunday, as I mentioned a couple of moments ago, the match comes from the baseball ground. It's Derby County against Tottenham Hotspur, live on ITV at 2:55. Joe, which was your best goal there? See if you agree with Ian this time.
I thought both the Norwich goals were tremendous, but the first one would be my personal choice.
Right. Now, we see week in, week out the quality of football in the First Division. What about the quality in the Second Division? Have you been impressed this season?
I think so. I think it's a very strong division. Sheffield Wednesday and West Ham have both proved in recent seasons that they can play in the First Division. Hope we get the chance next year.
I just wonder whether you feel at this stage, you know, without being biased, which you obviously are, whether the top three as they stand at the moment, West Ham, yourselves and Sheffield Wednesday, will eventually go up automatically.
Well, I certainly hope so, but we're not going to draw any conclusions yet. An awful long way to go, and ask me again in May.
OK, final conclusions on Everton, one of your old clubs, and their improvement under their new manager, Howard Kendall.
I think that they're well on the way. I think the revival's underway. Evertonians now will be looking forward to a good cup run, a sensible position in the league and next season.
Thanks very much for being with us today. It's been a great pleasure as always. Joe Royle, our guest on the match today. Don't forget, Rumbelows Cup Wednesday night on ITV, and then a week today we're at the baseball ground for Derby against Spurs. Bye-bye.